Resident Evil Survivor is a first-person survival horror game developed by TOS and published by Capcom. The story follows a protagonist who suffers from amnesia after a helicopter crash on Sheena Island. All he has is a gun, and he must survive this zombie-infested island to not only learn about his identity, but what's been going on this island. Starting with the positives, Resident Evil Survivor does have an atmosphere to it. While it's not really a scary game, the game does try to give it some creepy vibes by adding some cool sound effects, and there's some pretty decent jump scares too. Visually, this game is solid enough. There's no FMV cutscenes like in Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 on the PS1, but all the character models look pretty fine. The zombies and monsters look really cool. Just wish that there was some more variety with the zombies, because the zombies you do get are just generic stock Resident Evil 2 zombies. My final positive for Resident Evil Survivor is that the soundtrack isn't bad. There's some decent songs in it. Not all of it is great, but there's some decent songs in this game. And the cons. The story to me felt like it was put together in at least 20 minutes, and I appreciate that they attempted to try and connect this to the Resident Evil franchise, but it really felt forced, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. This game tries to have a plot twist towards the end, but I never really cared about any of the events that were happening. All the characters were either dumb or really lame, especially the villains and especially your main character. The voice acting in this game is horrendous, especially whoever voiced the main character you play as. But personally, this is what brings me back to the game. The dialogue and the way the actors say their lines is the funniest thing ever, and sometimes when I'm out and about I'll quote the lines just because I think it's hilarious. The controls in this game are terrible. While I'm okay with tank controls in the original Resident Evil games and as well as other survival horror games from the time, I don't think it works in a first-person perspective. Now, we were supposed to get the gun con to be able to play with that, but because of the Columbine shooting, we never got that. So for anybody that has played this with a gun con, let me know down below on how that is. However, I do appreciate that they have some things to make this a little easier, like an auto aim. If you press L1, you can point to any zombie in the room or monster, but also you can also press L1 to point to any door that's in your area or to any items that you may need to pick up. I absolutely hate the inventory in this game. It's abysmal. It's slow trying to select your different weapons, trying to reload, or try to combine your different herbs. It's just very annoying and it's very slow. And I get that this is the sort of game where you don't need a traditional inventory management because this isn't really your typical Resident Evil game, but I wish they would have come up with something better. Overall, Resident Evil Survivor is not a great game. It's really bad, but I enjoy it. I don't like the term guilty pleasure, but I guess that can be used in this sort of scenario. But I do encourage you to give it a try. Like, you may enjoy it like I did for how funny it is, or you may hate it, and either way, that's okay. I don't really recommend picking this up physically though, just because it's a bit too expensive for this kind of game, especially for it being only an hour long and very easy. So I recommend just emulating it if you need to. Anyways guys, that's going to be it for me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you thought of Resident Evil Survivor. Big thanks to Retro Hank, Nasty Canasty, Nightcaps and Nostalgia, Ash the Man, Miasma Senpai, and Warp8 for supporting me on Patreon. You guys are awesome.